With all our knowledge and technology, one might think that we would easily identify and classify any object spotted in space. However, the story of Oumuamua was different. This space object left scientists and astronomers puzzled. Oumuamua, whose name means messenger from afar arriving first, came from deep space, or as we commonly call it, interstellar space. Interstellar space is the vastness between stars, beyond our solar system. From time to time, objects may venture into Earth's solar system from interstellar space. But Oumuamua was a surprise, an unexpected visitor from interstellar space that left us confused. The first peculiarity of this object was its appearance. It had an elongated shape, resembling an arrow or a stretched-out squirrel. Scientists initially believed it to be an asteroid. However, asteroids usually have rounded or irregular shapes and orbit the Sun within our solar system. Oumuamua appeared to have a defined shape, as if it were carved or precisely designed, but it didn't orbit the Sun in the same way as asteroids do. The second peculiarity of Oumuamua was its behavior. Normally, we expect a space object to travel at constant speeds, just like other space objects. However, Oumuamua broke this space rule. Scientists noticed that it seemed to be traveling at a unique and independent speed. This is what sparked all the controversy. Could Oumuamua be a comet? Comets are icy bodies in space, composed of volatile materials. As these materials evaporate due to the intense heat of the Sun, the characteristic tails of comets emerge. If you have ever looked at the night sky and seen a bold ball of light streaking across, you have likely witnessed a comet in action. Comets travel at different speeds than asteroids or planetary bodies. They can reach incredible speeds of up to 160,934 kilometers per hour, depending on their distance from the Sun. The closer a comet gets to the Sun, the faster its speed. This remarkable speed initially led scientists to believe that Oumuamua was a comet, but it soon lacked a crucial feature: the escape of residual gas. Oumuamua appeared extremely peculiar in its movement through space, not following the pattern of a comet, as some researchers believed. Comets usually spew gas from their sunlit side, allowing them to be propelled in space like rockets. However, the problem with this theory is that no escaping gas, and therefore no tail, as would be typical of a comet, was detected. If Oumuamua were truly a comet, scientists would have discovered it, even as an interstellar object. One such interstellar comet was discovered in 2019, Comet Borisov. It behaved like a treacherous comet, being the next interstellar invader after Oumuamua. Scientists found it to be a gigantic comet, with a tail 22 times the size of Earth. Unlike Oumuamua, it fragmented multiple times over the years. Seeing how Oumuamua doesn't fit into the category of either asteroid or comet, a new theory emerged: this strange visitor could be a fragment of an exoplanet. It was suggested that an asteroid may have collided with a space planet, sending pieces of that planet flying into space. Since the first day it was spotted, Oumuamua has remained a mystery. It was discovered on October 19, 2017, by the Pan-STARRS Observatory in Hawaii. Pan-STARRS is an acronym for Panoramic Survey Telescope and Rapid Response System. It is a colossal telescope equipped with one of the world's largest digital networks, containing a camera with 1.4 billion pixels. This telescope was designed to identify space objects that are considered potential threats to Earth, meaning objects that could collide and cause damage upon impact. When astronomers at the Pan-STARRS Observatory spotted this strange object flashing through our solar system like a lighthouse, they concluded it was something they had never seen before. They named it Oumuamua. Initially, they believed Oumuamua was just a sausage-shaped object wandering through space, but its true shape was revealed many days after it passed through our solar system. Oumuamua has dimensions of 115 by 111 by 19 meters, which proved that it wasn't shaped like a cigar or sausage but rather like a pancake. When Oumuamua reached its closest point to the Sun on September 9, 2017, it moved surprisingly fast, around 506,727 kilometers per hour. Moreover, it maneuvered around the Sun in a way that led scientists to conclude that this object wasn't just being propelled by the gravitational force of space but came from somewhere beyond our solar system. This is where the alien theory was born. Controversy and panic set in as the information was shared with the scientific community and the public. The idea of a strange object exploring our solar system was terrifying. Our Sun had no influence over this unknown object as it passed by in space. Not only was Oumuamua's propulsive force stronger than what scientists were accustomed to seeing in comets or other planetary bodies, but it was also a continuous thrust that seemed deliberate. Thus, it gave the impression that the object was accelerating to escape the Sun's heat and return to its home beyond the solar system. Oumuamua's strange acceleration led many to believe it was an alien spacecraft. Some theories suggested it was an extraterrestrial probe, like our Voyager, but instead of being fueled by conventional means, Oumuamua could be powered by some unknown energy source. No one knew where this object came from, and it was a real challenge to try to determine its age. Doing so would mean obtaining a live sample or a close-up view of the object, but Oumuamua was traveling at such a speed that both were impossible. It was moving so swiftly that no telescope on Earth could capture a clear enough image. That's why scientists initially thought it had a cigar shape, only to later discover it was pancake-shaped. And thus, the theory of an alien spacecraft spread and seemed to be the only viable explanation for this strange space phenomenon. Some researchers came up with exotic conclusions to explain where this visitor came from and how it operated. A Harvard astronomy professor named Avi Loeb postulated that Oumuamua is an alien spacecraft powered by a navigational light. This method of space propulsion involves using radiation emitted by the Sun. Avi Loeb suggested that the object was being propelled by solar radiation, so that photons would bounce off its surface, generating energy for movement. However, this postulation had some flaws. The object could only be propelled by solar radiation if it were tiny or lightweight with very low density. Additionally, it would need a large surface area to capture enough solar radiation for space propulsion. However, these arguments are based on our current level of scientific knowledge and technological capabilities. It is assumed that we are dealing with a civilization much more advanced than our own. In that case, it's possible that solar radiation could power a spacecraft even when it is as large as Oumuamua and has little to no surface area to absorb radiation. This advanced civilization theory would also explain why the object is so undetectable. In fact, there is speculation that it could be using a cloaking mechanism, making it appear like a space rock. However, even with all these facts, scientists are reluctant to admit that Oumuamua is an alien spacecraft. Although a renowned astronomer has put forward this theory, other viable ideas have been presented to explain what Oumuamua really is. One of the most accepted theories is that Oumuamua is a pancake-shaped piece of debris from an exoplanet, such as Neptune or Pluto. In 2021, two researchers from the state of Arizona insisted in their publications that the object was likely a hydrogen iceberg. These astrophysicists from Arizona State University, named Alan Jackson and Stephen Desch, believe that some space object must have struck the planet from which Oumuamua originated, and the violent collision sent the object toward our solar system about 400 to 500 million years ago. They clearly stated that the planet from which Oumuamua originated had a composition similar to Pluto in nature. This singular theory also seemed to explain Oumuamua's acceleration behavior. According to these astrophysicists, Oumuamua's rocket effect was caused by the rapid evaporation of nitrogen ice from the object. In other words, as the nitrogen abruptly changed from solid to gas, it pushed the object forward. And since nitrogen is abundant in our solar system, this process likely went unnoticed by telescopes. In summary, they postulated that Oumuamua was made of nitrogen ice. At the time, this theory made sense and seemed to solve the mystery of Oumuamua. However, not long after, the nitrogen ice theory was invalidated, being challenged by astrophysicists from Harvard University. According to these astrophysicists, it's not enough. In the universe, it is rare to find sufficient nitrogen to create an object like Oumuamua. Additionally, pure nitrogen has only been found on Pluto. Therefore, the nitrogen ice theory was quickly dismissed as absurd. Now, Oumuamua appears to be leaving our solar system, and scientists speculate that it will enter interstellar space by the late 2030s. However, there is still fear that Oumuamua may perform another sudden maneuver and return to Earth. After all, it has already appeared on the radar before. Although it is currently very distant from Earth, given its strange behavior and peculiar orbit, it is possible for Oumuamua to return. It would be better if we knew exactly what this object is and how to stop it. Unfortunately, it proves to be a formidable space adversary, with tremendous speed. Oumuamua's velocity is 5.5 astronomical units per year, which is equivalent to over 90,000 kilometers per hour. That is much faster than any spacecraft we have ever sent into space. The highest recorded speed of a manufactured spacecraft is 57,000 kilometers per hour. Therefore, there is no way to keep up with this mysterious object from space. It is faster than anything we have achieved. Unless we surpass the limits of our space instruments and technology, it may be challenging to learn more about Oumuamua. In 2017, the Lyra project, an initiative inspired by Oumuamua, was launched. Its sole purpose was to find a way to launch a spacecraft that could travel fast enough to reach interstellar objects like Oumuamua and Comet Borisov. This could be achieved by using an innovative spacecraft powered by lightweight solar sails. Such a spacecraft could potentially reach Oumuamua by the early 2040s. The Lyra project aims to launch a dedicated spacecraft between 2030 and 2033, which would arrive at Oumuamua in 2047 or 2049. Making this dream a reality is possible, as scientists have made significant improvements and innovations in spacecraft. For example, LightSail 2 is a remarkably small spacecraft that is solely propelled by solar radiation. It has already completed 18,000 orbits around Earth, covering a distance of 8 million kilometers. This spacecraft has the capability to rapidly send small probes through space, propelled by powerful lasers on its tiny sails. If we continue to enhance these spacecraft in the coming years, we may have something fast enough to reach Oumuamua. However, it seems that we may not need to bother traveling to Oumuamua after all. There are indications that it may be heading towards Earth. Although scientists have revealed that Oumuamua is currently near the planet Neptune, there is still fear that this object may return to Earth due to its peculiar orbit. If this happens, many things can occur. If you think that Oumuamua cannot reach Earth after traveling such a great distance, you are mistaken. Remember that we still don't know exactly what this object is or what its complete abilities are. We are facing a cosmic mystery that arouses curiosity and fear in humanity. In the beginning of the video, we mentioned that Oumuamua suddenly accelerated as it approached the Sun. About to leave our solar system, if this object is indeed an alien spacecraft, it could travel at tremendous speed to reach Earth as quickly as possible. And what would happen then? Well, the first thing would be a major impact. Oumuamua colliding with Earth would cause massive destruction, landslides, and much more. If Oumuamua is a spacecraft, we would have a problem of space invasion on our hands. And no one knows what pathogens or deadly viruses these aliens could bring with them. They could be a civilization with technology far more advanced than ours, something worthy of science fiction movies. However, all of this is just speculation, but we cannot dismiss these possibilities. After all, a renowned scientist firmly believed that Oumuamua was an alien spacecraft. But then again, if it turns out to be just a space rock or fragment of a destroyed planet, we would only have to worry about cleaning up the mess after the collision or impact. Now, we want to hear your thoughts. Do you think this object is a spacecraft and that it will return to collide with Earth? Let us know in the comments section. We are eager to hear your theories about this cosmic stranger.